I was thinking it would be good if we were able to reflect a little bit about what we've been doing on the Covenant Action Plan over the last nearly 18 months now. Yeah, just about thinking about things that we've learnt from working together, Indigenous, non-Indigenous person, but our relationship as it is, and maybe our relationship with other people who are different from us, how that's changed our thinking or our attitudes towards the gospel message or the social justice in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to reflect back on that, because I remember when we first started our work together, and even though we'd had some interactions in community and that before we actually had these roles, that I realised we had to get to know each other. And to be made to get to know each other within a job that was already complicated, that was a challenge in itself.
Yeah. Politeness only goes so far.
Yeah.
We had to be real.
We had to. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Because we're both passionate about Indigenous and non-Indigenous people being together and within a community, and the injustices of it. That was the thing. It was we are passionate about God, about our walk, but then how do we do this together? And learn as well.
Yeah. We had some fun times.
I really liked our time that when we went to South Australia and we did our walking touring around South Australia. You, Kath, I, and Richard Cassidy. That was good, because it was, for me, I'd already met most of those people down there through my UAICC. So to see them all again and to share these people that, and to have you and Kath come and meet them, that was an experience. I think that was our bonding trip,
It was too.
But also, what could we do better in Queensland, to walk together? It helped us with culture, and that, I think that's funny how we have to leave our own communities, our families, and that to another place that isn't ours, to be able to come back and appreciate that Queensland's amazing. We've got so much knowledge and wisdom and understanding and willingness in Queensland that I don't think we really let a lot of people know, but through what we've been doing, I think it's little steps towards covenanting. And what about you, Aaron? Because you started, you were already working within school. And so...
So I think the big thing for me was I'd read a lot, I had done a lot of learning, talking to people in the community as well, and building relationships like that. But the thing that's really struck me in recent times is that it's all very well to have head knowledge about the issues that face First Peoples in Australia today, but when you get to know people and you get to hear their stories, which they don't tell you the first time you meet either, that comes after a long period of building relationship and trust, I just was blown away by how the things that I've read about that I had relegated to just the history part of this country are actually happening to people today. and that it's not enough to just say you support Indigenous people. You have to do something about it. You have to, I feel that I have to use my voice to speak up to my non-Indigenous friends who have an opinion about everything but haven't actually met many Indigenous people and haven't heard those stories. So that was a thing to me.
Yeah. And throughout these 18 months from where we began to where you are now, and I mean your fire of what you have seen and witnessed in our conversations and conversations you've had with community, there's this fire in you that I was thinking about this when I was heading here towards the thing, was that I identify that with, especially with people who are just identifying as Indigenous, or people who aren't identifying but they're just getting into that space. There's this anger of adjustment, that the injust of what happens behind the scenes, that your world you've been just so shown that it's, and I think the subtleness of it, so seeing that fire in you, it's a good thing. I think, and they're the sort of allies we need. I think also though to remember that it is a long journey. It's a long journey. So when that fire in your belly is firing up, knowing when to push forward with it and when to just let it settle and let something go by, because that's just a small part, of we'll call it like it is, racism that we've come across.
It's a long journey.
So to last the journey, you need to know when to pick your fights, when not to, or just to be able to let things pass, because you can burn out really quickly otherwise.
That's actually one of the really nice things that I've been able to experience, probably with talking with some of the aunties and just seeing like you said, there's a realisation of the depth of the injustice in this country, but also the huge amount of grace that some Indigenous people are able to show. And a lot of people don't know that's grace. A lot of people don't realise and understand that it takes a lot of grace. And I mean, it's only because when you've grown up in it, you learn at a young age how to be able to deal with that and keep moving forward, and survive, to keep moving forward for your family, for your community, for yourself. So you have to have that grace in you. We may not even go to church, but there is grace amongst us to have to keep moving and wanting to reach out that hand, to looking for that person that you can walk with, that know they've got a good heart, they've got a good spirit, and we can walk together. And there's lots of people still on their journey to find that healing, but I think that's also where building these connections can come in. Yes, we've had times where we've been angry at each other, and just like with that communication sometimes takes a lot. But misunderstanding. It happens.
And that's just true to what happens out in community and people. Because and it is because you're seeing it from your eyes, and I'm seeing it from my eyes. And so that's where that's where I say it takes years to get through this, and to be able to allow each other to have those up and down emotions, because that's how we learn. And then we grow a bit more. Like, we're not the same people we were when we first started. I think we've softened a lot, haven't we? but also seeing that the passion hasn't gone. We're just reevaluating what is where we need to go and what we need to do.
Yeah.
You know, and how to keep moving forward with the cause, which is the purpose. The whole purpose really is for God, and where He's leading us as human beings, you know, and the church.
Yeah.
You know, and what we need to do. And if this is our little area, is to help bring relations of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, and for the church to reach out to their local communities and understand there's a lot to learn from Indigenous culture.
Yeah.
From my own personal experience of learning in my own culture and others around the country, is that, wow, there's so much knowledge over hundreds and thousands of years that are held in the ground and in the caves, and the wisdom that's been handed down to the elders. And we've got so much as Christians to understand how the Spirit works, how we are supposed to, as a community, supposed to look after each other. We've still got a long way to go. And yet when I look and learn from the culture, it's all there, but they only give enough for us to be able to keep walking in where we are at that time. And I think you can't have, for me, the journey was, I can't have one without the other. It's an and both thing. That's what I learned off Auntie Pat. Thank you. So, and it is to have God, Christianity, the gospel, the good news, but to balance it with the cultural spirituality. They work hand in hand together. And if we actually just sat and acknowledged that not one knows more than the other, that we're all still growing and learning.
So Project Plenty at the Synod meeting on the weekend, one of the mission priorities was transforming communities. And one of the things that the project has discerned from churches and people all around the state is that people want to build connections with First Peoples, with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the country, which is great to me. And yet also not anything new. Like, as disciples, we're supposed to be out there being part of our communities and meeting people and loving people. So I'm really excited to see that churches want to do that.
I think also it's about getting yourself out of your comfort zone. Because even though we say it in church that we need to, and we do acknowledgement to country now, thank you, but I still think that people need to get out of their comfort zone and really go out there in community. Not walk by the child that's on the street there, that's off his head. There's something going on for a child to be out there on the street. As church and Christians, we shouldn't just be going to Sunday and then going home and looking after our own family. When you're walking down the steps and you're seeing children that are on the streets, that go up and talk to them. That they shouldn't be there. And so have a talk to them. They're there for a reason. And even if it's just a hello as you're walking by, or an acknowledgement, and continually doing that, then that trust is built as well. I think there's that thing there too of when you hear, or you're even in hearing distance, people that are speaking belittling, racist remarks, that's your opportunity to speak up as well.
Actually, that's a good point, because putting in perspective a little bit of uncomfortable conversation with, a friend or a colleague or a family member to say, hey, I don't think that's okay if you speak like that. That kind of thing is nothing compared to people having experienced that, hearing those comments every day their entire lives.
And that's
I think that's okay for me, to be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
You have to. You have to, because if you want to commit to helping minority groups, in any form, you have to be willing to own it and commit to it. And that means you're going to have to speak up and stand up, even if you're the only one in the room or at the table. That because that's part of covenanting. You have to be brave enough, because I can't get out of my skin. I face it every day, and it is every day. So I have to speak up, walk away, but to be brave. If you want to be an ally or partner with anyone of a minority group, you have to be willing to stand up for it, and there are consequences, but it also is good as well, because that's showing commitment and true relationship.
I think that's a bit of putting faith into action as well. Showing that you're willing to get out there.
Sorry, sorry, hang on. I'm gonna find my nose. Okay. I wanted to also talk about where you and I work. It's just been such a privilege and honour to be invited to work with Queensland Synod, and how I have been supported as an Indigenous person to follow my path and where I feel the Spirit's taking me to learn cultural learning for the position I'm in, but also teaching me and helping me grow as a person working within this organisation and understanding the bigger picture of what Uniting Church actually does and how far it spans out. And I've absolutely enjoyed every single part of it, the good and the not so good. And I wouldn't have had this opportunity, and I'm really thankful that I got this opportunity to be able to work with Uniting Church. And I can't wait to see future, because we're moving forward. And even though the steps are little, it's good, because they're there for life. Each step we're making, we're not going to repeat patterns of the past. We're actually looking to moving forward and walking that road that is less travelled, and really listening to God and connecting spiritually, emotionally. There's this maturity that's come from both of us. We have been supported in what we've been doing, and no one wants to see us fail, because this is really important issues. And the church has done amazing things, and we're going to continue, hopefully, doing amazing things together in the future. Awesome.
Thanks, Nat.
Oh, thanks, Erin.